The Supreme Court, in a controversial move, recently blocked parts of President Biden's Title IX update. This update, designed to protect transgender students from discrimination, faced immediate pushback. Critics argued it would unfairly allow biological males to compete in women's sports, potentially jeopardizing the integrity of female athletics. This decision has ignited a firestorm of debate, splitting the nation along ideological lines. On one side, supporters of the ruling champion fairness and a level playing field in sports. On the other, LGBTQ+ advocates decry the decision as discriminatory, arguing that it undermines the rights and identities of transgender students. President Biden's proposed changes to Title IX were intended to broaden the scope of the law. The goal was to explicitly include gender identity and sexual orientation as protected categories under the umbrella of sex discrimination. This move, celebrated by LGBTQ+ advocates, was seen as a crucial step towards greater equality and inclusion for transgender students. However, the proposed changes faced immediate opposition, primarily from conservative groups and lawmakers. They argued that including gender identity in Title IX would erode the historical protections afforded to women in sports. The heart of their argument centered on the belief that allowing transgender girls to compete alongside cisgender girls would create an uneven playing field, potentially disadvantaging cisgender girls. The Supreme Court's decision to block the Biden administration's Title IX update was far from unanimous, reflecting the deep divisions surrounding this issue. The 5-4 ruling, with conservative justices carrying the majority, highlighted the complexities of interpreting Title IX in the context of evolving social norms and understandings of gender identity. The crux of the court's decision rested on the argument that the Biden administration had overstepped its authority. The court found that the administration hadn't provided sufficient justification for overturning lower court rulings that had previously deemed parts of the Title IX update unlawful. This decision, while not a definitive ruling on the broader question of transgender athletes' participation in sports, nonetheless represents a significant setback for transgender rights advocates. Section 4. The roar after the ruling. Predictably, the Supreme Court's decision ignited a firestorm of reactions from both sides of the aisle. Conservative commentators and politicians lauded the ruling, framing it as a victory for fairness and common sense in sports. They argued that the ruling protects the integrity of women's sports and ensures that female athletes can compete on a level playing field. LGBTQ+ advocates and their allies, however, expressed deep disappointment and outrage. They viewed the ruling as discriminatory and harmful, arguing that it denies transgender students the fundamental right to participate in sports consistent with their gender identity. The decision has been condemned as a step backward in the fight for transgender equality. Section 5. What lies ahead? Uncertain futures. The Supreme Court's decision to block Biden's Title IX update has left a cloud of uncertainty hanging over the future of transgender rights in sports. While the ruling doesn't definitively settle the broader debate, it does signal a potential shift in the legal landscape. States may now feel emboldened to enact or enforce laws that restrict transgender athletes' participation in sports. This could lead to a patchwork of conflicting state laws, creating confusion and legal challenges for transgender athletes, their families, schools, and athletic associations. The debate over transgender athletes in sports is far from over,